I'm pretty excited to ask you what you've learned. What if you were to sort of package up what you've learned since coming aboard the Ascendant team that you didn't even know you didn't know?
Wow. Hit me with the big guns right away. So there's a lot to unpack there, but if I were to maybe pick one word, it is abundance. Abundance in mindset is something that I knew that is always a trait that everyone should have, but I didn't realize how much more abundant someone could be when you're in the right environment. And I think by being part of the Ascendant team, learning from wonderful people like yourself, Richard, Sarblo, all the other wonderful people on the Ascendant team, it really expanded my mind and helped me think beyond what my little brain could think about when I before even joining the team.
Love that. And look at how far you've come.
Thank you. Incredible journey. Some would say, maybe you've seen some of the rockets that are launching, Elon's launching into space. He's even catching them on the way down now, which is pretty cool. But to say that your rise in the industry has been meteoric, I think would be the type of description I would use. So Taran, I'm curious, if we were to rewind the tape a little bit, even, before joining Ascendant, what was happening for you then? What prompted the decision to become part of the team? Why were you seeking an opportunity to even get involved in this space?
It all began, if I could wind back the clock to when I was 20 years old, I got my first internship or my first real job, as you like to call it. So for those of you who may not know, I'm a former engineer or recovering engineer, as some of our colleagues like to say. And I had gotten an internship. I was in the middle of university. I was super excited. It was the most money I ever made in my life at that time. And I'll never forget my first couple of weeks of working there. There was one day I walked into work, and there was this lady there, and we just said hello to each other. And I asked her, "How you doing?" She said, "Amazing. I'm doing good." And then she asked me actually how I'm doing, to which I said, "Oh, I'm feeling amazing," with a lot of enthusiasm, like a 20-year-old would, right? And her response was, "You haven't been here long enough." That moment changed everything for me because I was completely caught off guard by that comment. And then over the next many months that I spent in that internship, I realized I would pay attention to my surroundings. And I started realizing that there were people in there that were there for 30, 35, 40 years doing the same thing that they started doing when they started 30 years ago. And I realized in that moment that there has to be more to life than just this. Right. And that kicked off a journey of exploration for me where I started getting into reading personal development books and attending networking events and seminars of all kinds of different topics that I thought was interesting. That's when I started getting into also learning about multiple streams of income and, how someone can start building wealth outside of just working a job. And so that journey was amazing. It led to me, meeting some wonderful people, starting my own business. I train martial arts in the martial art of karate, and that led me down a path of having my own studio, which ended up failing, which was some lessons there that I learned as well. And so throughout my journey, what I was looking for, what I realized is for fulfillment, something where I enjoyed the day to day and it gave me fulfillment and a joy in what I was doing. And I got that from karate. What karate wasn't able to give me is the ability to scale further, from a financial standpoint. And so that opportunity didn't work out. But as I always like to believe, that everything happens for a reason. And so fast forward many years later, now we're in 2020, COVID hit, and I was in engineering at that time, in an engineering position, still figuring out my life, still trying to figure out that thing that I wanted to do for a really long time. And when I got laid off, that was it. I made the decision in that moment that I'm not going back to engineering. And I said that before, and I did go back, but this time was different. And that's what I told myself. So I spent many months figuring out what it is that I wanted to do. And that's when I discovered an ad for Infinite Banking, where I saw Jayson's face with a big smile on there about it. And and it worked because I clicked and I watched the webinar, and I went through the process of becoming a client. And in that process is where I realized that this is something that everybody should be knowing about, the process of becoming your own banker, the infinite banking concept. And in that journey of becoming a client, I realized that this is what I want to do. And this is something that checks off all the boxes. At least that is what I believed at that time, in terms of helping people being able to be fulfilled from the work that I'm doing, and having the ability to scale with the people that I was working with. And so for that reason, I asked questions on how I could be part of this. And one thing led to another, and I got an opportunity to work with the team. And here we are 4.5 years later.
Time flies by quick. Thank you for sharing that, because the overwhelming majority of our team have come from a different profession. This was not something that if you were to sit down with them and ask them the same question, they wouldn't have said that this was an aspiration, that they wanted to be in this profession. But once they went down that journey of becoming a client and really immersing themselves in the process and saying, I'm just feeling drawn, I'm feeling pulled to share this with other people. And so if you were to contrast, you had your experience in an internship and then an experience with a martial arts studio. So if you were to just contrast that, you hear the word used often, culture. So how would you describe the day-to-day vibe of your Ascendant team?
It's everything that I wanted, everything that I dreamed about in terms of a team environment, the people that you're interacting with within the team. I've been part of many different organizations over my journey so far. And I've shared this many times with the team. I've still haven't found an organization like this, where everyone has a mindset of giving. Everyone has a mindset of respect. Everyone has a mindset of wanting to do better with their lives, whether it's personally or professionally. And I feel honored and privileged to be part of that environment. And it's a complete contrast to what I've seen in the past, where I've worked with teams where they had that negative mindset, the water cooler drama that I didn't want anything to deal with. Because I just feel that it just stems your creativity and your ability to be productive. And so, when I was part of this environment, I didn't feel any of that, at least in my experience. And that's what I value.
Wow, that's really gratifying.
It's interesting because a lot of our teammates work in a remote fashion. We're spread out all over North America now to a large degree. And we're connected. We're communicating on a regular basis, daily basis, weekly meetings, weekly connections, advisor training, all these types of environments you can put yourself in. And so I thought it was interesting about the water cooler, because the only one you can yell at the water cooler is yourself, because the water cooler is in your own house. So we definitely don't want you doing that. So I hope that that's not taking place.
We have a barricade around the water cooler in the team support center too, by the way.
Yeah, maybe that's why there's no drama around me. Because I'm the only one here.
And when you think about just being in a position where you serve amazing people, right? Like, you're dealing with a lot of wonderful clients, just like your teammates are. And what's the feeling that comes up for you when somebody catches it? Like, when they catch the concept, like, they may have approached you initially and said, "Hey, I'm ready to go. I've watched some podcasts. I've consumed some YouTube videos," but you're wanting to get them to clarity. How does it feel when that light bulb moment happens for someone that you're serving?
That is why I do what I do. Seeing those light bulb moments is my favorite moments when I work with clients, because you know that you've had an impact on their thinking. Yeah. And it's just amazing to see, because you'll meet with people that come into this with all different types of mindsets and perspectives on how the world works. And then when they catch this concept, it's just amazing to see that paradigm shift in their brain. Like you can visually see it and feel it, even though it's most of our meetings that we do is virtual, you can still feel that. And I cherish that because that is what inspires me to keep going, to keep getting better, to keep, trying to be the best version of myself.